Okay, it's Module 4 time. We're going to talk about water and the role of water in weather. Of course, you might ask, what would weather be without water? Well, I guess just an E and an H, I suppose. Is it possible to have weather without water? Well, technically it is possible. And in order to have weather, the only requirement is that you must have an atmosphere. So let's take, for example, Mars. That planet does have weather. In fact, it can have some very impressive dust storms. However, its thin atmosphere is made up almost entirely of carbon dioxide. The only water on Mars is locked up in ice form in the polar ice caps. So water in the atmosphere is not a necessity for creating weather, but it sure makes our weather here on Earth a lot more varied and interesting. So since we'll be focusing on weather in this module, in its various, we'll be focusing on water in its various forms this module. That includes ice and liquid water and water vapor. We're going to start out by looking at the hydrological cycle, sometimes called the water cycle, in order to get a feel for the varied paths that water molecules can take through the Earth-atmosphere system. We'll learn that transitions between phases result in either a consumption or a release of energy. When you change phase, you either give up energy or you must take in energy. And of course, that impacts the local air temperature. Next, you'll learn that the physical principles behind cloud formation. And most importantly, you'll learn why the idea that warm air holds more water than cold air is just a fallacy. You hear that a lot, but it's actually not scientifically true. So pay special attention to the discussion on page 138 about how it is the temperature dependence of the condensation rate and the evaporation rate. Both those things are temperature dependent. That's what allows clouds to form. It's not some temperature dependent holding capacity of air for water vapor. So it's a small distinction, but a very important distinction. Once, of course, you know the correct reason the clouds form, you'll learn about the atmospheric conditions in geographic locations that favor cloud formation. A necessary condition for clouds, of course, is moisture, so you'll also become familiar with terms such as relative humidity, absolute humidity, and the dew point as measures of atmospheric moisture.